Good morning and welcome back to Mr. Bilberry. I'm Bilberry and this is 60 Heckin Seconds, where I give you some words of wisdom or some life advice in just 60 seconds. One of the things I hear all the time right now is, I'll never be able to buy a home. And I want to address that quickly because I felt the exact same way when I was first trying to buy a home, and I'm going to tell you a little secret that I used that made it possible. I pooled my resources with two of my friends. We bought a 3-bedroom house together. Between the three of us, we had the down payment, we had the credit score, we had the proof of income, but none of us had those things all on our own. So by pooling our resources, we were able to get the loan, make the down payment. We put all of us on title. Now, obviously, this has to be people you trust and who are reliable. You don't just do this deal with anyone. But if you are trying to buy your first home, if you're trying to put that money into something that's going to actually build value and give you some equity, then this is a great way to do it. Ultimately, we owned this house for a number of years, and then my two partners purchased me out of it. They refinanced the loan, and with that down payment, I was able to go buy my first place on my own. So this was my secret to getting into the home ownership game, when, especially for me as a creative and artist, it was very difficult to buy into a home. So there's your 60 Heckin Seconds. And now I'm going to elaborate on that a little bit. I really am fascinated by real estate because let's take stocks. If you buy a bunch of Coca-Cola stock, you can't just go buy enough Coca-Cola to make your stock value go up. You can't drink enough Coca-Cola to make your stock value go up. You can watch the market, you can do things, but you can't really directly affect it. Whereas what I loved about home ownership is you can buy something that has some problems and you can put your sweat equity into it and you can increase its value over time. And I really appreciated that my own efforts and drive and abilities impacted my value with real estate. So having this fascination, I read multiple books, and I'm talking like 30. So 30 books on there's an ant biting my toe. Ouch. Anyways, I'm back. So I ended up reading multiple books on real estate, and you learn about creative financing. You learn about amortization tables and how they impact you and why they matter. And this isn't boring stuff. You learn about rentals and Section 8 and creative financing options, and you add tools to your toolbox. So if you feel like you're really struggling to get into the home ownership game, consider really doing a deep dive to educate yourself on it. You can go buy a car without reading multiple books on how to buy a car, but big of a purchase as buying a car is, it's not as big as buying a home. A home is, for most people, the biggest purchase you'll ever make in your entire life. It's probably worth some investment into understanding the market. I mean, heck, right down to negotiation and understanding how the negotiations work. And I understand this will happen over time. If once you've bought a couple of houses and sold a couple of houses, there's a lot of knowledge that comes with that. But there's just so many different ways to do it. And I think that's one of the things I personally love about real estate. For example, some people will buy a home that needs a lot of love. They'll live there for 2 years. They'll fix it up the whole time they're living there. And then not only have they built equity, because instead of just throwing their money into the rental hole, they have been building equity. Now, granted, markets go up and down. You gotta sometimes ride that wave and be smart and play the long game, because real estate is a 15-year cycle usually, maybe even 20 years, where you see these ups and downs. So you gotta buy at the right time. You can't get drawn up in the fervor and the fury of of a seller's market when everything is flying off the shelves. And anyways, I could go on ad nauseum about it, but my main advice is, you got to think outside the box. You got to work together with people around you, build community, educate yourself, learn about this thing, because it's going to be the biggest purchase you probably make in your whole life. And one of my core philosophies about stability is getting a home. Every time you move, it takes you 2 weeks just to unpack, 6 months just to really get settled. And if we're moving every year, you just never get settled. And how are you going to be productive? And how are you going to do really good, amazing work in your life if you're never settled? So I think getting settled, and really, I hope to be in my forever home right now. And I've got my workshop set up, and I've got my system set up, and the garden set up, and it's all connected. And I think that putting down roots and having a home is such an important part of that. And depends on where you're at in life. Sometimes it doesn't fit. I get that. But for those of you who do want a home and do want to put down roots, read some books, build community. Also reach out to a loan officer and actually ask them, what do I need? Have them look at your credit, have them tell you what you need to work on. So even if you are not in position to make an offer today, know what you need to improve on. If you don't have a checklist of things to pursue as far as improvement and growth and development, then how are you going to know what to improve and grow and develop? So yeah, talk to a loan officer. It's not going to hurt you any to give them a call. This is their job. They will look at your profile and tell you what you need to improve. I'm doing this now because I believe we are going into a serious real estate drop. There's a lot of indicators. I've been through a couple of these now, and no one can time the market. But I think in the next couple of years, we're going to see some of the most affordable real estate we're going to see in a long time. And you need to be working towards it now if that's on your to-do list. If that's a goal of yours, you want to have a home. I'm telling you, get ready because it's coming. And unfortunately, normally when the real estate's the cheapest, that's when we're all struggling the most financially. That's when we're struggling to stay employed. We're struggling to pay the bills. So you're typically cash poor when real estate is cheap. But if you can find a way to do it, and that's another benefit to pooling resources with other people you trust, it can help you get there. And I would love to see you all in a home. So yeah, think about that and wish you all the best. If there's anything I can help with, drop questions below. I am not a real estate pro, but I've done halfway decent with it in my life. And I've also made a lot of mistakes, which is a valuable lesson all on its own. So learn from my mistakes as well as my successes. And yeah, thanks for watching. Y'all rock.